Hello and welcome to my book talk. That was so awkward. Wow. Okay. I'm not funny. I'm not even gonna try to be. Is this in view? I've been not on YouTube for quite a while, probably like around a month. I wish I was not making videos for a good reason, like my dog died or something, but I don't have a dog, so I can't make excuses. I was lazy, okay, I'm sorry. I was a lazy little bitch and I didn't feel like posting. And during my break, however, I was very productive, okay? I was extremely productive, so fucking productive. I was so fucking productive, in fact, that I read the entire Selection series, 3 books, in 5 days. I reread these books because I actually really liked them when I was a child. And I decided to reread them because I was like, oh, what if I actually started liking them again? Like, what if it's not as shit as I thought it would be? And I was wrong. It is still very, very shit. I'm just gonna put some more books here so I look smarter. Basically, my point is that the books are kind of bad. Terrible, actually. Disgustingly bad. And I can't believe I read through 3 of them in 5 days. My brain is probably trashed now and I probably can't use it anymore, so I'll probably have to file for a new one. These will probably go on my medical expenses. I just did my taxes today. Very boring. Apparently I don't pay any taxes in the first place, so I don't get anything back from the government. I keep dancing around the point. This series is bad. It's bad. It's bad. That's what I'm gonna be covering in this video. I did make notes. I scripted it actually. I don't think I'm gonna follow my script that much because I don't do that ever. No, I was gonna make this a very aesthetic video. I was going to do my makeup all like princess-like. I was gonna wear a crown and shit. Actually, it's like princessy theme, sort of, so yeah. Here. But I was going to make this video much more aesthetic than what it is right now. I was going to do something like, I don't know, interesting, aesthetic lighting, maybe curl my hair and not look like a mop, but I got lazy. I found my notes. I had to go and get them from my fucking computer because I didn't remember the password to my account. I'm so funny. So, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a preamble first because I'm not going to go ahead and assume that all of you have read this book, even though it is clearly the greatest piece of modern literature that has ever come out of the 21st century. So, first book, let's start with the synopsis. America is in love with Aspen in the first like 10 pages, 20 pages-ish. Then he kind of goes like, I am poor, I cannot provide for you, America, and please do the selection. The selection is like this thing where every girl above like 16 is eligible to enter like this sort of bachelorette-esque competition to win the prince's heart and to marry the prince and become the next queen. That's kind of like the whole gist of this entire series, is that our main character enters one of these like selections. So she enters the selection. She doesn't want to at first because she's like, I want to marry Aspen, my poor little man. Oh yeah, there's also the caste system that's introduced in this book where like everybody is confined to a caste based on their ancestors' profession, which is really dumb because wouldn't the caste make more sense if it was classified by how much your annual income was? Like, for example, if you're really poor, maybe your annual income was like less than $5,000 or something like that. If you're really rich, your annual income's like $1 million. It doesn't make sense how they classify it, which is like, oh, the fives, which is what America is, are like artists, like singers and like dancers and like performers. Which I just doesn't, it makes sense that 8 are homeless people, but it doesn't make sense that they divide the cast by fucking what profession you do. It's so stupid because then it just forces everybody in the same cast to do the same job, which just isn't like I get it, she's supposed to trying to be setting up this dystopian society, but it just doesn't, there's no like logical reason why a government would propose this caste system and then categorize people by what job they did. Like, that's just so whack to me. That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they ever do that? Like, and also the creation of Elia, we're explaining, I don't know which book, one of these books, it explained that America, like United States of America, not the character America, is in a lot of debt to China, and then China invades America because they want their money back. But then they realize America doesn't have any money because they're broke. And then, so China just takes everybody who lives in America and makes them slaves for labor. So the Chinese are enslaving Americans for labor. The Russians, the Russians, they see this big labor export thing, right? And they want in on it apparently. So then the Russians invade the Chinese occupied America to try and steal the labor force? The people? I don't know. Something like that. And then what happens is that the people who live in that little used to be America section, they call it like the United Chinese America, fuck whatever. So now they rebel, and then the person leading it is George Elia, and then he's like this rich guy who then rebuilds the country to what it is now with the caste system and stuff, and they name the fucking country after him. That's a history lesson. Back to our synopsis. So your main character is America. Yes, I'll get to her name. And then she's in love with Aspen. And so then Aspen is a 6, so he's one below America, and he's like, I don't want to marry you because I am poor. I cannot marry you. I cannot condemn you to a life of servitude. That's basically his thing. He doesn't want to drag America down with him. So he's like, please enter the selection, because she at first was adamantly refusing to do it because she's like, oh, I want to marry Aspen. If I do this, it's like betraying him, you know? Like, I already said I was going to marry him. Why would I enter the selection to try and marry some other dude? And her mom also wants her to enter the selection. So basically, under the pressure of her boyfriend and her mother, America enters the selection. And what would you know? She gets picked, and then she goes off to the palace and she meets the prince, and they start off with trying to be friends. That's basically the whole thing, where they're like fake, like liking each other kind of thing. A little bit. It's kind of like that trope, but not fully. Like, they're just being friends kind of, and then they start liking each other, but then it happens in the span of like 20 pages, which just makes it like seem like they're really, really fickle and not a good development novel. I could have been better, but no, they just kind of throw that out of the window like 100 pages in, and then she starts liking him and he starts liking him, and that's kind of the rest of the book. Except for at the very end of the first book, Aspen gets into the palace and he's a guard now, and then America's like, oh no, my ex-boyfriend is here. And then the second book happens. One thing I didn't like about the first book is that it didn't feel very competition-y. There should have been more like Bachelor-esque style. I never watched The Bachelor. I didn't even watch clips from Bachelor. But like things like, oh, the girls are like fighting over this guy, which I think Cast should have made it more dramatic than, like, you know, everybody just kind of like getting along, which is what they were doing, except for like maybe Celeste. Celeste is like the only bitchy person there. And like, what's the other girl's name? Bridal? There's just one girl's name, she's B, I don't fucking know her name. She's also kind of bitchy, she's friends with Celeste, but she doesn't last long, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I wish there was more drama in the first book, because the first book's so bland. Like, it takes a really interesting premise and then just kind of makes it really bad. I will give props to like maybe like the first half of the book. It's very good at getting us attached to Aspen and kind of like her whole like life before the selection kind of. So second book, that's all I have to say about first book. It was mind-numbingly average. It actually made me feel like, oh, this is just like gonna be a little fun read, just for nostalgia, you know? I thought I was gonna like be okay with the rest of the series. Oh boy, I was wrong. Second book! So there's even less of that like competition shit in the second book, even though they're down to like 6 people and it should be more intense competition than before. There's even less of that for some reason, I do not know, but yeah, there's like 0 competition. All the girls kind of just get along now because they're like, oh, we're friends. And then the whole thing, there's nothing really happens like plot wise. Like, the only thing that's like really concerning, or the only thing that's like really going on in this entire book is that the Aspen versus Maxon thing that's going on in America's head. She kind of just flip-flops between the two of them continuously throughout the entire book. It's fucking tiring. I hate their fucking names. It sounds so stupid, but yeah, that's basically the entire book. And then Marley gets caned because she fell in love with this guy named like Woodwork or something. So she falls in love with someone who's not the prince, and she kind of cheats on the prince, kind of. So then they cane her, you know. And then that starts like a whole conflict between Maxon and America, where she's like, oh, you're so cruel. And then there's a bunch of like rebel attack stuff, which is another part of the dystopian thing that's like really, really stupid. Like, why are the rebels attacking? They don't like explain that. Like they explain in the third book, but the explanation isn't that great either. Which, okay, like they literally explained that the Northern rebels, like, they wanted to want to help rebuild Ilia without the caste system, but they still don't want to get rid of the monarchy. And then Southern rebels, which is like another rebels type there, and then we never meet anybody who is a Southern rebel, which is like, why? Never even get to see any of like the fucking carnage, because we all seen all of this from America's view, right? She's never in like the fight. She never sees anybody get killed. We never see anything that's like bloody or anything like that, which is kind of sad, because then it just kind of doesn't make us feel like the threat is that imminent, because then we're just with America in like a shelter. We never see any of Southern rebels like in person. They're not actual character, which is just like dumb, because then we just never know like what they are actually like. And we're told that the Southern rebels want to get rid of the monarchy and sort of rule Ilia themselves, which, okay, good enough motive, but are they gonna have another monarchy, or are they going to have like, I don't know, a Soviet Union-esque thing where they have like a president or something like that? Does Soviet Union have presidents? I don't know, not sure. Nothing much happens, and until at the very end, America decides that she likes Maxon, and she's deciding that she is going to marry Maxon. That is after the entire book of flip-flopping between Aspen and Maxon. At the very end of the second book, she's like, yes, Maxon, that is the guy I am going to fight for. I used to like the third book. When I read it when I was like 11, I was like, oh wow, this is like the best book ever. Because for some reason, I was a Maxon stan, okay? I liked my little Prince Charming. I thought he was funny. I thought he was charming. He's not really. Third book, basically, America is just fighting for Maxon and then getting pissed off that he doesn't really, he's not focusing on her at all times and not on the other girls, even though they're supposed to be a part of a competition, and that's just sort of how it's supposed to go. And then she just kind of gets pissy over that. The entire book is mostly America avoiding Aspen, which is really stupid, because a lot of the problems could have just been solved if America just listened to Aspen or just talked to him. Like, he's been trying to talk to you the entire book, and it's until like the last like 20 pages that she's like, oh, maybe good idea to talk to him, because she's been avoiding him ever since she like realized that, like, oh, I love Maxon, basically. Yeah, and this third book's the worst. There's so much more dystopian politics shit, and it's so dumb. They go and they meet like these northern rebels. August and Georgia, those are the two rebels that we meet. And August turns out to be the secret like great-great-grandson of like Ilia, like the Ilia line, like the guy who invented the country person. Like, he's supposed to be like the secret son of him or something like that. I don't really know, but so they basically want to help Maxon get to the throne and help him in America basically get rid of the caste system, because America wants to get rid of the caste system because that's her whole thing, basically. There's a lot of political stuff. America supplies the rebels with weapons. That never comes to anything. At the very end, there's a huge like southern rebel invasion. A lot of people die, not anybody of consequence though. The ending's very rushed in the third book, and I hated it. There's nothing much to say about her except for the fact that, yeah, Max and America end up together, and America is relieved of any guilt that she has to do with leading Aspen on. I fucking hate this her. Because Aspen falls in love with her maid and he doesn't like her anymore anyways. so everybody wins. It was a really dumb book. There isn't much in that book, honestly. It's a bunch of stupid rebel shit that doesn't actually play into the plot at all. Just like window dressing, you know. I'm just gonna assume that you guys are smart enough to keep up with the rest of my rant, and I'm not gonna explain the book any further, so. Okay, so the main problem I had with these books was the characters. If obviously you guys heard what the plot was about, it's literally a love triangle the entire time. So, you would think that we get some grade A fucking characters, some sexy characters, sexy men, sexy women, sexy writing. No, we don't. It's terrible, terrible. So disappointing. I'm absolutely just, I'm hurt. I'm hurt by the writing in this book. This on like a Goodreads post of a review about, I think, the series. They did bring up a good point where it's like, oh, the writing is so bad at describing things, which is so true, because throughout this entire series, I have no idea what the palace looks like. There's no description of what America's room looked like. They would just say, oh, the windows are lovely, the mirrors are lovely. Like, throughout this entire series, I have no idea what the palace looks like. I have no idea what this world looks like, and I have no clue. Like, it's just, in my mind, the palace just looks like Buckingham Palace because it's a palace, and that's how I'm imagining it. Also, with like the entire dystopian portion of it, I can see how people would compare this to like Hunger Games, where it's like, oh, there's a dystopian place where people are confined to little castes. Like in the Hunger Games, we are like, I think, like numbers in the Hunger Games too, right? I think so, like districts, right? District 1, District 2, District 3. But only in Hunger Games, it makes much more sense. It's not like they're confined to a caste because of their profession. The Rebels are a storyline that doesn't go anywhere. Like, they don't amount to anything. They're like planning something, and then it just never pans out. Nothing ever like pans out with the Rebels. Like, you're given so much like time to them, where you see America go on these missions and lengths to get the money and stuff. Like, she tries to, like, she gets this Italian lady to give them money so they can fund the Rebels and give them weapons, but that never amounts to anything because they never do anything with those weapons. Whew, I had to calm down there. Oh my god, my heart is racing. It just seems very excessive to add on this layer of dystopia into this novel when it could have been perfectly fine if she just set it in like an alternate universe where this country existed and they had a monarchy. Casteism in the worst way possible. It just doesn't make sense at all. And the history lesson behind how that fucking casteism was made doesn't make sense at all either. Basically, we're led to believe that the person who made the casteism is just pure fucking evil, and he just decided to do that so he could oppress people. She should not have even fucking tried. There is no reason to try. You did not have to make this into dystopian. There is no reason to try and make this have some deep thought sort of to it, because then it just ends up wasting time and it bores me. It bores me. It's like the most boring part of this entire series. If you just cut all the rebel shit out and replace it with some more drama. Like, this series sorely lacks drama. For what it is, it's literally Bachelors but book style. It lacks drama. Our main character is so good and she's so kind that she's not willing to stoop to any level to win. She's just too kind. It would have been better if you had a character who actually would have done something to win. It's fine if she loved someone else before, but maybe perhaps we can have her, I don't know, maybe she still wants to stay in it because she wants the money, which is a fine motivation. But you could have had her actually try and like stay in the competition through alternative means other than just being liked by the prince randomly because he bumped into her in a garden. All the characters are super like cliched and like typecast, and they're all like one-note characters, like Marley, the nice friend, Celeste, the bitchy girl, Chris, the smart girl, maybe America 2.0. They're like kind of the same person, kind of, except for Chris is less about the social justice. At least the Asian one. And then we have, who else is in it? Natalie, the stupid one, basically. She's like the Karen out of like all of them. She's like, you know, from Mean Girls. Just like, the third book just ends so abruptly. Like, we have this kind of rivalry going on between America and Chris, but that just kind of comes to a halting stop when Maxon sort of just declares his love for America, but then it just comes to a halting stop again when America is caught kind of with Aspen, when really she just has her hand on his chest, which isn't really that intimate of a gesture. Like, you just, if someone just put their hand like here or something, because that's where it was as she was passing by, then it might just be a friendly gesture. The third book, at the end, both the queen and the king die, which I don't know why they did that. Like, the last like 10 pages wraps up the novel so quickly. There's this whole like rivalry thing between the king and America where, oh, if America becomes the princess, the king might not approve. How is she ever going to overcome this? Well, she doesn't need to overcome it because the writer just writes the king out of existence. He's dead. She doesn't need to worry about anything anymore. Like, what? You could have at least had some kind of revolution to that like thread where he just fucking, the last thing he says to her is something where he wants her to do like this commercial for Christmas or something, and it's just, and only if she does that can she marry Maxon, and that commercial's like kind of against her ethics or something, I don't know, something that she doesn't want to do. And the point is that, oh, can she give up some of her morals to be with Maxon? We never actually get a resolution to that because America never has to give up anything. She doesn't give up anything. She doesn't give up her morals because she never does that commercial thing. She doesn't have to fight against someone to get Maxon, like his father, because his father just dies, and she doesn't do anything to get Maxon. Like, nothing. Like, he just kind of falls into her lap, and then all the obstacles that were placed in front of her just like disappear and evaporate in the last 10 pages because, like, I guess the author just wanted to finish it. Like, she just wanted to get like done. Like, what? And it's just so infuriating to me because they could have kept the king alive. It would have been perfectly fine if the king was just alive for another like 50 pages for Kira Katz to finish up writing the conflict between him and America. Maybe perhaps, I don't know, one of them have a revelation. Maybe the king would be like, oh, America's not that bad after all, blah blah blah. Or like America could do something to prove that she can give up everything for Maxon, which I guess is not a very feminist note, but like that's the path we're going down. So either if she doesn't give up something for Maxon, then she's not gonna get him, which is just the horrible corner that Kira Katz wrote herself in. And also at the end, it's revealed that so many random people are like northern rebels, like America's dad, Chris, this random announcer dude. But like, they're revealed, okay, so what? There's nothing, like why are they revealed? Like, nothing changes now that they're rebels. Nothing, like, it's not really like super interesting information because it's like given the last 5 pages and we don't know what to do with it. Because like, Chris doesn't really, it just doesn't, we know her as like this girl from the selection. We don't need the fact that she's a northern rebel as well. It doesn't fit. Like, where does it fit? And announcer as well. Like, why does he have to be a northern rebel? Maybe America's dad. Okay, that makes a bit of sense, and it's a bit cool because like, oh, America was meant to be this freedom fighting little bitch after all. Oh, also, Celeste. I hate Celeste. No, I do not hate Celeste. I hate how Celeste was handled. I hate that Celeste was made cartoonishly evil, and then somewhere in the third book, like halfway through, she just does a complete 180 and we decide that Celeste is good now, only to kill her off at the end with one line, and that's it. The author wasted Celeste so badly, like so badly. She could have been utilized so much more interestingly. Like, for example, she could have been so much more of a mean girl, so much more scheming, but the shit that she does is so like, it's not like actually to the level where we're like, oh, she's so smart and cunning. It's just like dumb like pranks and shit where she puts like bleach in people's shampoo to make their hair light. There's nothing much I have to say about it in general. Those are some just like general critiques that I kind of thought about. I don't think there's anything else I want to say, and then I'm going to get into like in-depth character qualms and like things that I hate about the main 3 characters, which is a lot of things I hate about the main 3 characters because they're not very good. They're very bad. I'm such a pale little bitch because of this lighting. Oh my god. I got a juice box because I'm thirsty. Yeah, so let's finally dive right into the more specific like character flaws that I have with this show. Okay, we're gonna start off with Maxon. Maxon, weird as shit. I hate him. I hate his name. I hate everything he stands for. I hate how he is characterized in the book. Moving on. No. I'm joking, I'm joking. Okay, I'm gonna explain why I hate him so much. So the way that Maxon talks, first of all, is weird as shit. I did not remember the book to have such bad dialogue. I expected him to have like kind of like very generic like love interesty dialogue, very like tropey, very cute, very pandering to the masses, you know, that kind of dialogue. But he's supposedly shy and he's characterized as like a shy person and not all experience with women, but then he calls every single one of the girls like my dear, and it just makes me want to shrivel up and die. But of course the only person who doesn't find this unsettling 50s wife beater-esque term endearing is America, because she is not like other girls. He just doesn't seem the type of person who would use the phrase my dear, who's supposed to be shy and a little bit like dorky and nerdy, which is what I think Kira Cass was trying to go for, like the little dorky nerdy boy in comparison to Aspen, who's supposed to be like much more mature than Maxon, a bit more I think dark is the best way I'd word it, like more edgy. I think that's what they're trying to go for. Maxon comes off as a pretentious like rich boy who just thinks that everybody's into him automatically, which he's right, but they have no reason to be into him, so that disappoints me greatly. But he also says dumb shit, like for example he says this line, "You are all dear to me. It is simply a matter of discovering who shall be the dearest." And he has the audacity to credit this awful fucking sentence and to his education and how he is educated, so he uses the word shall. Like in general, he just seems extremely out of touch with the real world. He seems extremely like pretentious, extremely wimpy. Like that's how they describe it in the book as well, like to the first impression that America has of him before she meets him, of course. But even after we meet him, that impression isn't broken. Like he still is, like he's still a little shit. And I think what Kira Cass wanted was to have his like fancy dialogue, his fancy like little his fancy diction and his overly complicated sentences to be sort of charming, I think, or to make him sound educated, which it doesn't. It makes him sound like someone who really wants to use his English Lit University bachelor's degree. And I do think it did achieve the effect that he was completely opposite of Aspen, but it did not make us like Maxon. I fucking hate their names. Why are they so fucking similar? Aspen, Maxon. Yeah, so Maxon was written supposedly he had to be like sensitive, kind of dorky, a bit of like a nerd, I think, but like, you know, in a charming way. But he just came off as like a preppy rich kid who was a little bit too privileged, a little bit too out of touch, never knew what was going on in his own country, and America had explained to him. He just seemed extremely sheltered because of that. Dude, it's your job to know. You're literally supposed to be king in a couple years and you have no idea what life is like for the people who are poor in your country. That's kind of like #1 job of being a politician or like a ruler of any sort. You have to know what life is like for most of the people in your fucking country, or else, you know, bad things are gonna happen. People are gonna start rebelling against you, know, like the French Revolution or any other revolution where the rulers lost touch with their people. So Max doesn't really experience any real growth, and the story doesn't really actually even demand him to change. I don't think Kira Cass wanted him to change. I think she thought of him as like the perfect male protagonist, interest, etc. He may be a little ignorant in the beginning, but he's always kind, and even from the second that he heard about, oh, the lower castes are starving and they're dying on the streets, he's super like compassionate, and he's all up in arms to lead a revolution and dissolve the caste, even though that will lead to him losing all of his powers. I just cannot believe he is such a good-hearted person, and yet he is supposed to be supposedly the next ruler of this dictatorship. Yeah, I just don't believe that. I don't think that he should have been an all good character. Like, this is one of those things where we could have had a bit more morally gray characters, or else why add in the fucking dystopian aspect? Like, if you're going to go for like a pure fucking male protagonist and have him be like the heir presumptuous of a totalitarian, slightly totalitarian and like a very like a dictatorship-esque society, then why make him so fucking pure? He grew up in the society knowing that he was going to rule. Why couldn't you have made him a little bit more interesting? One thing I don't think he is completely wrong in is that he needs America to declare her love first, because I think that is fair, because he has told her that he has feelings for her, but she's the one who is withholding those feelings. So I think that part is actually fair, and it sets up the basis of like, oh, we need America to admit to her feelings, which is fair, because also at the same time she also does have feelings for Aspen. So I think that part is fair. I wish that conflict, that when Max found out that America was fucking around with Aspen, would have came out earlier. Maybe like the midway point of the third book would have been great, where she's already committed to Max, but like she just hasn't broken things off with Aspen completely yet. I wish that was when he found out. Then there would kind of been an actual drama, something actually explored, some like actual reconciling, other than some weird rushed stuff that was just Frankenstein together in the last 10 minutes of the book. I'm trying to say minutes, like 10 pages of the book. Like the last 2 chapters, I think. So much shit happens that is just fucking whiplash. Like, I keep complaining about it, but like it's really that terrible. Like, just go read it. Like, it's so bad. And my long story short, Maxon is not sexy or cute. He never seems to have a proper identity. Kind of is a little bit creepy sometimes, like saying my dear and having a photo collage of all the girls who's in his selection on his fucking wall. A little bit strange, Max. Okay, a little bit strange. And he's boring. He's a boring character. He's boring, and he's probably the worst character out of everyone out of the main 3. He's the worst one. This is what I talked about before. I hate him. I hate him. Okay, next. Oh my god, I'm talking so much. Never talked this much a single fucking day. Oh my god. Okay. America. Let's talk about America. I'm saving Aspen for last because he's the shortest one. I don't really care about him, so I'm going to talk about America next. America's name is dumb. Let's get that way out of the way. America's name is dumb, so let's just get that point out of the way. I know it's a dumb point, but it just fucking bothers me how fucking bonkers the naming is in this entire series. We have people named Maxon, Aspen, which is the dumb names, 2 dumb names, and then we have America as the main character. All the side character names are actually okay. Like, Marley is decent. Actually, Marley actually just fits the character's like personality to me. Marley just seems like a very kind name. But Clarkson's a dumb name. So is Amberly, seems kind of stupid. I don't like how the person that Marley likes, his name is just Woodwork. I don't like the name Georgia at all. I can't believe that a rebel's name is Georgia. I also hate how literal America's name is. Like, ooh, she has to be an empowering feminist figure who fights for freedom. Let's give her the name America. Wow, and her last name is Singer, so can you guess what she does? I just wish Kira Cass named her characters in a smarter way and just didn't make them sound dumb as shit, like America, come on. Oh my god. Throughout the entire series, we're told that America is smart, but it just never really seems like that's true. For one, she's not smart about how she gets along with the girls, like all the other girls in the selection. She purposely makes enemies of people, which is one thing that like public relations 101 is kind of not gonna do. Like, don't make enemies of people that you don't need to make enemies of. Like, why would she? Like, that's just not very smart. And the love triangle isn't really that good at all because one of the characters doesn't even know that he's in a love triangle, which just makes it so much less drama. Like, come on, like, it would have been so much more interesting if Maxon knew and yet he was still willing to fight for America. I think that's what makes Twilight kind of a lot better, because all the characters know that they're part of a love triangle. They all, like, Jacob knows he's fighting for Bella, Edward knows he's fighting Jacob to get Bella, and they all have their personal motivations. But in the selection case, Maxon doesn't fucking know. He doesn't know that there's somebody else that America is, like, fucking with. And the love triangle isn't good because America flip-flops all over the fucking place. Like, instead of creating any sort of drama that kind of, like, you know, like, oh, she'll fight, she'll have a huge fight with Maxon about, like, Aspen or something, or she'll fight with Aspen about Max or something like that. I just wish there's some more drama from Love Triangle, because the only thing that it does is that it it just meddles with America's internal monologue and makes it, like, so much more annoying. Like, for example, she says, I weighed Maxon and Aspen in my heart over and over, and neither of them had ever had a true edge, except maybe when I was alone with one of them. Honestly, like, that's her main problem. Every time she's alone with one of them, her opinion changes, and it just, without any, like, clear reason, and it just becomes so annoying because she'll just literally spend one afternoon with one of them, and then she'll completely change her entire mind, and she'll be like, okay, I like Aspen now, or I like Max now, or I fucking hate Aspen, or she just completely changes her entire view based on one meeting. And every time she meets them, she changes her, like, mind, and it's so annoying. Like, I hate how she does that. I found this, like, amazing review on Goodreads that kind of sums up, like, the love triangle that, like, festers in the entire series and just kind of infects the book like a fucking Lyme disease. Okay, here, this is gonna be a dramatic reenactment of the Goodreads shitpost. America, I love Maxon. No, Aspen. No, definitely Maxon. Maxon does something needlessly cruel in dramatic fashion, so it's kind of like, you know, when he doesn't stop the caning of Marley, which I don't think is really his fault, because it was kind of made clear that it was his dad who wanted to do that, and Maxon was saying it, but Maxon's a pussy for not saying it was his dad, so I guess Maxon is a pussy. America, I hate Maxon. Runs up to see Aspen. For unexplained reasons, she has second thoughts about Aspen. Yeah, that's, like, one of the main things that I don't really get. Like, for some reason, Maxon does all this weird, like, dumb shit that offends America. Then she always gets, which, like, makes sense. Okay, if you're offended by certain things that he does, then it makes sense that you don't like him anymore, right? But then she'll like Aspen, but then she'll just randomly change her mind. There's nothing that Aspen does to, like, make her not like him. She just changes her mind about him a lot. Like, nothing. He doesn't do anything except for break up with her in the first book. But that was, like, he explained that many times, so I don't get why she just continuously like stops liking him and then liking him again. I don't get it. Like, I get it slightly for Maxon, but I don't get it for Aspen. I don't. For unexplained reasons, she has second thoughts about Aspen. America, Aspen who? I love Maxon. Maxon does something needlessly cruel in dramatic action. America, I hate Maxon. Runs up to see Aspen, and for less unexplained but equally convenient reasons, she has second thoughts about leaving Maxon. America, Aspen who? I love Maxon. Basically, that's summed up. I don't think my acting was really that great, but if you compare it to, like, the book trailers of this series, I think my acting is deserving of a fucking Oscar. So the only thing I actually disagree with is the fact that, you know, Maxon never does anything excessively cruel. He does things that offends America, but nothing I would call excessively cruel. Like, he's just kind of a pussy in general and doesn't stand up to anything his dad says, which is what kind of causes things to go wrong with America. Like, if he just, you know, stopped Marley's caning, or if he just simply told his dad that, no, I am not going to fuck around with several other girls. I'm not going to entertain the idea of sleeping with Celeste, with getting together with Celeste or Elise or any of those other girls. Which is not, like, excessively cruel of him. It's just, he's a bit of a daddy's boy, kind of. He just got daddy issues, okay? Like, you can't really call it excessively cruel. Yeah, like, he clearly doesn't enjoy when Marley gets caned, and he really tries to explain to America, but America just goes like, fuck you, I don't care. Which is kind of hurtful, and then this whole thing blows up in her face, and then she does this really, really awful presentation that kind of like makes the king hate her. Yeah, and then the really dumb part about America is that she projects a lot of shit onto Maxon. Like she'll see what Maxon's dad does, and then she'll be like, oh, Maxon, I hate you because you're gonna be just like your dad. And she does that with the country's founder as well, because I told you that Maxon gives her the George Eliot, which is like the country's founder's diary, and then she reads George Eliot's diary, and then she finds out that he's like basically a terrible person. And she projects that onto Maxon, and she thinks that Maxon can be just like him, because she's like, oh, he probably read these diaries when he was growing up, so he probably agrees with this type of thinking. I hate him now. What? That's such a dumb reason. Like, she just fucking like assumes he is one way without actually talking to him, and just gets mad at him for some unexplained reason that he doesn't know about, obviously. And then she just gets mad at him, and she's like, oh, he's a cruel person. I don't like him anymore. What? America just refuses to fucking end this series the entire time. Like, literally from the fucking beginning, Maxon's like, I love you. I will literally call this selection if you just tell me that you love me. And at the time, she loves him too, right? She likes him, obviously. And the only thing holding her back is that, like, oh, Maxon still has all these other girls around. Why is he keeping all these other girls around? Well, honey, I'll tell you what. You have not told him your feelings. You've been literally withholding your feelings for the entirety of the first and second book, which is why he has all those other girls around, which is why you're not married to him. Please don't make this a thing. Please don't make this his fault. It is literally your fault that you could have literally just ended the series if you were just able to admit your feelings to him and not be so annoying about it, about the fact that, oh, he has other girls around. It's literally his job, okay? He has to do this. He doesn't want to do this, but he has to. He's told you this before. He doesn't want to do this selection, but it's like this only way to meet girls. So poor him, I guess. I don't know. It's just annoying how she clearly could have ended the selection in the first fucking book, but she just didn't. She had to suffer through it, make us all suffer through 3 books of it. She's just really fucking stupid, and she fucking hurts my brain, and I hate her. Oh my god, and the last thing, oh, I'm so tired of talking about her. The last fucking thing is that her relationship with Maxon is disgusting. No chemistry. I hate that. I hate it so much. Their entire relationship is just wet and soppy lines of dialogue where they confess their love to each other. They don't have any like actual like dialogue other than talking about shit that's not them like fucking, basically. Like, they're just talking about like the future all the time. They're always talking about getting together. They're always talking about how much they like each other, but they never like actually get along. Like, they don't do anything together. Like, we never like, they walk around in the garden. Like, that's like the extent of the shit that they do for leisure, like leisurely time or whatever. You never see them interacting outside of like, oh, I love you, Aspen. I love you, America. Ah. That was embarrassing. Oh my god. It's just, oh my god. It's just this book could have been so much better. Like, especially the Maxon and America aspect. It could have been so much better if it was less PG-13, I think. I know this is such a dumb critique of like saying, oh, they should have had more like sex scenes or whatever, but like it could have been more convincing as to why like Maxon has such like a hold on America, like why she liked him so much and why she couldn't just get rid of him, because honestly he's not that good of a person. He's kind of pales in comparison to Aspen, and she's been Aspen for so much longer than she has been Maxon, and Maxon isn't even spending all that time with her. So I honestly don't understand why she is so partial to him. Oh, and so yeah, I'm done talking about America. I'm just done. I cannot. Oh my god. Next we have Aspen. Oh my god, my legs are so numb. I literally cannot move from this position. I'm stuck here for the rest of eternity. I'm just gonna be here for the rest of the time. So I am going to talk about Aspen now. Aspen, I don't really have that many opinions on him. I do remember hating Aspen when I first read it back in like grade 6 or something. And I hated Aspen. I was like, oh, he's disgusting. I hate him. I like Maxon way more, but obviously my opinion has changed. I realized that Aspen's not that bad actually, not compared to Maxon and how he's written. Maxon is annoying. He's a little shit and I don't like him. Fuck him. Aspen on the other hand seems a bit more mature than Maxon. He's just okay. He's not particularly bad. or good. It's very cute how he calls America Mer, and he's like, he and America are the only part I can like about this entire series a little bit. They're kind of cute, and that's okay. The only thing about them that they were cute. It wasn't a groundbreaking love story. He's a very basic character. He's kind of like he like worries about his family. How do you say, self-sacrificial? That's the word I'd go for. He's very self-sacrificial. And that's kind of his entire character. Yeah, there's not much to say about him. He's not really in it that much. He kind of gets cut out in the third book, and he's barely in the second book. So, not the second book, the first book. He's barely in the first book. He's in like the first half, and then like the last few pages of the first book, and he's barely in the third one. He kind of just gets like ignored by America in the entire third book, until the very end, where she finds out that like, oh, he doesn't actually like her anymore. He likes her maid, which is just kind of convenient, but whatever. I kind of already said everything you say about him, all the other character stuff. He's not really that major in my opinion. I just don't think there's much to say about him. The way he changes his mind about America so quickly is a little bit annoying. Not annoying, just comes off as very like fickle of him, because he kind of like really loves her for like 2 entire books, and in the third book he just magically starts liking Lucy, which is like America's maid, and it just seems like a very big shift, like a huge change, and it's a bit weird. Yeah, I think that's about it for him. I have strong thoughts on him. Like, I used to hate him, but now he just seems like a doormat and kind of just meh. Like, America was using him as like a safety net for half the time. I don't even know. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention before is that it's very weird how they try to make us think that Maxine is dead. Like, what? Like, is she, like, I wish somehow she actually, like, Kirkas actually had balls to go through with that. Like, I wish Maxine was actually dead and all this fucking love triangle bullshit would have been for nothing. And I wish that, what's his name? I just want to end up with Lucy and America just be all alone. That would have been funny. That would have been actually really funny. That would have been a good ending. Looking on a dream. Yeah, but it's literally just, it's very entertaining to read through, because it's very like, how to explain it? It's very like, it like hooks you, even though the writing is very bad, and like the world building is absolutely shit and the characters are shit, but for some reason it just hooks you in. Like, I couldn't stop reading. I finished it in 5 days, for goodness sake. And then it's like trash food. That's how I describe it. It's just bad for you. It's bad for you in every single way possible, but for some reason I would still read it just to pass time. It's very entertaining, I will say that. I wouldn't recommend reading it though, but you know, I just read it because it was kind of nostalgia for me, because I remember reading this when I was a little child. So yeah. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this very, very long video. I probably will be making more books like these. More books! Oh my god, my brain cannot function anymore. It's like literally 9 o'clock and it's my bedtime. I'll probably be making more videos like these where I review books that I read and stuff like that, or movies, shows and stuff like that, because I think that this format suits me a bit more than making vlogs and stuff. Vlogs get like tiring after a while, so I don't think I'll make those for a while. And also, there's nothing to vlog about when I'm in quarantine, because literally every day is the exact same. Like, literally, if you want to see what my life is like, just rewatch the vlogs I already posted. My life is still like that. Yeah, so nothing much has changed. Yeah, so I hope you guys liked this video, and if you do, please like and subscribe. My favorite outros, so I'm just going to leave, and I hope that you don't mind. I need to go shower, and I'm tired, so yeah. Okay, bye bye.